Hey guys, welcome to the Devil Made Me Do It podcast, our very first episode. I am Joe, and my beautiful co-host is
Dizzy. Hello.
Thank you guys for joining. Really quick, if you're not familiar with who we are and what we do, I'm Joe Gonzalez. I am an actress, director, and podcast host for Girls Gore and Gin and Any Last Words, and now the Devil Made Me Do It. And that's it. I think I'm
I
29.
am I am a stay-at-home mom, now ex-military wife, so we got that going on for us. And I've been into true crime and all things horror since as long as I can remember.
Which is a good thing. That really works for this show because that's what we talk about on this show. So this show is going to be all about true crime, whether it's old or new. Right now, I want us to focus a little bit more on the more current ones and not so much of, the older ones like Dahmer and Bundy and whatnot. Because if you're really a true crime person, you already know those stories. We don't really need to start off getting into those. Go somewhere else if you want to see that shit. Maybe eventually we'll get into those because they are fascinating, and familiar stories. But today, here in a couple of minutes, we're going to be getting into the story of the frat boy Cannibal, Austin Harrouff, which is really it's a very bizarre, I almost kind of feel sad at the same time, but I do and I don't. I don't know. It's kind of hard to explain it. I guess maybe, everybody else can get more sense of it, of what I mean, as we get into it. Oh my gosh.
But yeah, so ready.
Yeah. All I know is it's freaking hot. It's freaking hot, girl. I think a lot of people are feeling the heat right now, and it's not even midsummer yet.
I know, and like I was telling you earlier, the problems with AC, we've been having them, and we only run the AC at night, and I woke up this morning freezing. So, the joys of hot flashes and all that good stuff. So I'm in my onesie.
I know. So you sent me that photo. You sent me that photo, and I was like, oh my God, girl, are you wearing a fucking flannel? It's 90 degrees where I'm at, and you have high humidity from my understanding. What the fuck?
Well, the AC decided to work last night, so I woke up freezing. And Rob was like, you can turn off the AC when you get up. And I'm like, no, I'll just put a onesie on.
I know. It'll get really hot in the house. I'm a person, I run cold. I'm always cold. It doesn't matter. But I'll turn the AC down in my house. As I'm like, oh God, it's so hot in here. I'll turn it down. I'm like, oh, it feels real nice. And then oh shit, I need to put a sweater and socks on. But I'm not turning that air back up. It needs to stay where it's at because at any second, I'm like you, I'll have a freaking hot flash and just oh my God, oh the devil's trying to get me right now. What's going on?
Right.
Oh my God.
Not today, devil, not today. It's too hot.
Too damn hot. Not today, Satan. We don't need this shit.
Not today, not never.
Yeah,
Nobody got time for all that.
Exactly. Oh my gosh. I think so. I think a lot of people are having just a lot of freak ass weather right now, whether it's, for the conspiratorial people, whether it's a government made summer or it's what do they call it? The global warming shit. Who knows? But we don't.
I don't know.
We want it to stop.
Exactly. We've got a tropical storm headed our way. From now until Monday, we're under severe thunderstorm and flood warnings and all that fun stuff. So,
oh my Lord, that sucks. California, we ain't got no water. So if you guys want to send some of that shit over here, that would be great.
Well, to be honest, we really need the rain out here. We've been very dry out here the last couple of years, and it's much needed.
Oh my gosh. I'm just waiting for, our fires have already started for this year.
Oh, I bet.
Oh, my gosh. And you're familiar with the fire stuff because when we were teenagers in the Conservation Corps, we had to go out to that fire. We were on fire watch. We were on the fire crews and shit. What was it? We were out there for over 20 days. You were my tent mate.
Was that the Sour Biscuit fire?
That was the Susanville. The 101. The Susanville 101 fire.
Oh, it was ridiculous.
Yes. Oh my God.
I
Remember when
became a
we
heat
like,
casualty quick.
yeah. Remember when we all got in the rig to go home and then like we realized how badly we smelled like smoke. We're like, oh God, we were so used to the smell of
So
burning.
used to it, we didn't even notice it.
Yeah, and then we got back. I think we got back like late at night or the middle of the night, and we were all trying to get into the fucking
Into
laundry
the
room to start
shower.
washing our shit and take showers. We were just like, oh my God, everything smells like fucking smoke, and this is ridiculous.
It was crazy.
It was crazy. It was a lot of fun. It was a lot of hard work, but we got through it. It taught us a lot of good life
It did.
structures. We made a lot of
Very much
friends.
so.
So I met you and Rob out of it.
Oh yeah, I got a lot out of that one. I got a husband. But going on 17 years married in a couple of days. So that's
Congratulations.
awesome.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
And I think you and Rob are like, I don't know. I still talk to some people off and on. They kind of like jump in and out of my life, which is fine. Everybody does their stuff. But I think you and Rob have consistently been like
always there.
So I was it's a trip to really sit there and think about, holy shit, it's been almost 20 years since we've all been friends. Like,
exactly.
It's a trip. I don't know a lot of people who can say that. Like, even if it's just through the interwebs, still, but we're still there.
Like, we're still there. You've done a lot of stuff in person for me too here in the last few years too. You're an awesome friend. When I had family that lived in Southern California, you made a cake for them for an event, and they enjoyed that. But
yeah, wasn't it like a maple baking cake or something like that, or some kind of baking cake that I made?
I think it was a red velvet cake, if I'm not mistaken.
It was something. I remember having to drive to Tehachapi to drop it off, and I was like, man, I wish I lived here, not Bakersfield, so fucking hot.
Oh my goodness.
I didn't do it.
Definitely. No, I just banged my knee underneath my dining room table. You can tell I'm not used to sitting at this thing to eat.
Oh my gosh. Real quick, good morning, Rich. Thanks for joining us. We really appreciate it. If you wouldn't mind, like and share this video so we can get hopefully a couple more people who will jump on with us. Oh, and I've already got messages, but that's fine. Good morning, Richard, who's sending me a message right now. I can't read it quite yet, but I'll get to you in a little bit. Okay, so are you ready to jump into this madness?
I'm ready.
Oh my goodness.
I've got so many pages here, and it's all over the place.
Yes.
I've got that many pages set aside.
You got more than I did, because I started finding, like, we talked a little bit before, like, it started finding like so much conflicting information or partially conflicting information, and then just random crap here and there that, like, it started making my notes all messed up from what I was already getting. And then I was like, well, maybe I'll just try to memorize and try to throw this in here. So if I say something that like is different from what you find, or if I'm missing something, please like interject and like throw that in there so that we can try to make this as consistent as possible.
Gotcha. Same goes on my end too. Same goes on my end, please.
Yeah, so much for this event that pretty much surrounded a 2-week period up until the point of the event, if you will. I mean, and not that it was not that it was a fun party or anything, but
how else do you explain it?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. So today we're going to be talking about Austin Harrouff, also known as the frat boy Cannibal. This happened back in 2016. But before that, I'm going to jump into a little bit of his early life. So that maybe we can try to understand him. I do have a clip later to show when we get to a certain point. But Austin was born in Florida. He was the son of Wade and Mina Harrouff, and he has one younger sister, Haley. It was reported that he did have little spouts of depression off and on growing up, and nothing serious. He was never treated or diagnosed with anything. They just kind of let him do his thing, I guess. Growing up, he was academically a pretty good student. As time went on, he ended up being an athlete. He was a star football player. And this is where some stuff gets a little confusing. His dad says that he was a very popular student. He was liked by everybody. And then he was just a really like the all-American kid, basically.
Exactly.
which I felt was a little conflicting to some other information that I found. I need to go back and get it to put it on our Patreon, but there was a journal of his that was found. And a lot of the writing in there, he was saying that he wasn't a popular kid, that he didn't have friends, that he'd by himself at tables at school or benches and just be totally alone, and that people bullied him and called him a freak. So I kind of found like that's part of the conflicting stuff that I'm finding. I don't know if maybe dad was a serious enabler. I feel that like going on in the story that maybe he just wanted to be more of his friend than his dad. And I think part of the reason for that was because when he was, how old was he? When he was 13, him and his mom divorced, and him and his sister went to go live with mom. So that's why I'm thinking maybe dad would just wanted to be more buddy with him.
Yeah, and honestly, I think that might be one of the underlying reasons why he lost it, is I think him realizing that his family's never going to be back together type thing too, with some of the stuff that I was reading. Some of the stuff I read, that he was very shy at first until he hit high school, and then he was in the gym weightlifting. He was a football player, wrestler, like all around cool guy. Mom and dad had no clue what was going on with him, I have a feeling, for the most part, because most of the stuff, like you said, everything is very conflicting. I did watch quite a few YouTube videos of the actual not interrogation, but the interview with his parents. To watch that, I was almost sad. Like, I was like, if you hear it from their perspective, they're just like, what happened? Nobody still knows exactly what caused him to do this. At first the cops were all, it was Flocka or bath salts or some synthetic thing, but from what I read, there was nothing in his system but THC, and it wasn't very high quantity of it. And I know Rob and I watched it together. So at first Rob was like, "Oh, he was doing steroids. Look at how cut he was," and da 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 da. And I was like, I can see that, but the toxicology report would have had something in it. You know what I mean? And like you said, it goes back and forth between like the 2 weeks prior to the actual incident that he was acting very, very strange. Like to the point where he was sleeping, he was begging his mom if he could sleep, and because I guess he had changed rooms about 2 weeks before the incident to another room in the house. And once he was all set up over there, he told his mom, I feel like I'm estranged or, distant from the family staying in that room. Can I sleep in my old room, which was right across the hall from hers? And he asked his mom to sleep with him at 19 years old. Like, he was scared of something. Something had him scared.
Well, what I saw in a couple of things is that he was having like nighttime hallucinations, like he would see demons and ghosts and shadows, and he didn't. And so these things weren't like we necessarily knew to him the day of the incident. There were things that were kind of happening a little bit before, but it seemed to have been progressing more and more as time went on. And he was having dog sleep with him at night too. Like, because I guess probably his mom was like, "You're 19. This is weird. I'm not sleeping with you." Which I think that would be typical for almost any parent. Like, you're 19.
To an extent, you're a big boy now. Come on now. Yeah. But then it got so bad that there was, I can't remember what night they said it was. I want to say it was just a few days before the actual killings. He actually went and slept in his little sister's room, like on the floor in her room. Like, he was terrified of something. And one thing that his mom said, because like I said, I watched the whole interview with his mom and the police. He was telling his sister that he was a dog-like creature, or something to do with his zodiac sign. But if you look up his zodiac sign, it has nothing to do with a dog. It's the centaur. I wrote it down. I'm a reader.
Yeah, actually, That's another thing that was kind of conflicting for me too, because I watched a bunch of podcasts, I watched a bunch of news articles or segments, and they were saying he was very obsessed with his horoscope a few weeks before, and that there was one and it kept making me mad because this was pretty much the only podcast that was saying it. Saying that he was into being a Sagittarius, and Sagittarius is a centaur, which is half human, half horse. They're saying, he thought he was half horse and he would be running like at superhuman speeds, like through the beach and this and that. And it changed into like he was a half human, half dog or wolf or whatever.
Or
and I'm
demon
like,
or something. Yeah. And I was like, to the point, like, well, you want to just get into the day of the incident now, since we kind of covered pretty much the beginning? That's really all I could find about his early childhood, is either he was shy or he was the star athlete. So he was really all over the place even back then, to be honest with you.
He really, he kind of was. And when he was in high school, he started working because his dad was a dentist. No clue what the hell his mom did. There's really not a lot on the mom. And even to this day, she doesn't go to interviews. She doesn't speak about him. It's just the dad, basically. But when he was in high school, he was working at his dad's dental office for a few hours a day. And he started really getting into religion. And he'd start going up to homeless people and talking to them about religion. And then people at the dentist office, like patients waiting, he would go up and start talking to them about his life and personal things. And his dad would start getting embarrassed, like, you shouldn't be doing this with the patients. Like, that's not cool, dude. Like, let's kind of back up a little bit. But he wanted to be, his dad said he wanted to be a doctor. That's cool. Okay. But then he started having flights of ideas and just changing what he wanted to do. And like I said earlier, I do have a video that I can show from his YouTube page, because his YouTube page is still up. He all of a sudden he changed his idea, and he wanted to be a bodybuilder, a dietitian, a personal trainer, and an aspiring rapper named Frosty Frosty. Yeah, and I actually have a video. For some reason, he seemed to have been very into Elvis. And he started I watched some of his videos. It seemed like he was feeling like he was the reincarnation of Elvis. So let me see if I can find that video real quick on here. And this one, hopefully it just moves us and doesn't cover us when I show this video, because I always have a freaking hard time with showing fucking videos on this thing. But this is a video from his page. It's not the full one. It's maybe, I think I only put 3.5 minutes out of 4.5 minutes. But this is one of his performances. It's very bizarre. It's very weird. But you guys will see. Let's put this up and watch it. Come on, buddy. Come on, buddy.
Elvis Reborn, baby. Elvis Reborn. I inherited the throne as king. You ready to hear this cover? All right. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much. When I find myself in times of trouble, Mother Mary comes to me, speaking words of wisdom, let it be. And in my hour of darkness, she is standing right in front of me, speaking words of wisdom, let it be. Let it be, let it be. Let it be, yeah, let it be. Whisper words of wisdom, let it be. And when the broken-hearted people living in world agree, there will be an answer, let it be. For though they may be parted, there is still a chance that they will see. There will be an answer, let it be. Let it be, let it be, let it be, yeah, let it be. Yeah, will be an answer, let it be. Let it be, let it be, let it be, yeah, let it be. Whisper words of wisdom, let it be. Let's get a little freestyle in. I'm so drunk, I'm like Paul McCartney. Got bitches on their knees like I'm the king. They're my peasants, they wanna give me presents. I go crazy, I go insane, I go cray and I just shout, let it be. Just let it be, I'm the king. Just let it be, I'm the king now. I got a ring and I got a crown, and I'm gonna slap your mother and make her drown in my cum. Let it be, let it be, let it be, oh let it be. Whisper words of wisdom, let it be. And when the night is cloudy, there is still a light.
Okay. I think that's good. Yeah, so I really wanted to show like the beginning of it and like how he was acting. I don't know if it was really like if he was being silly or serious. It kind of seemed a little of both, but maybe a little more serious because there, like I said, there's other videos that he has where he references Elvis and talks about like, oh, I'm the reincarnated king and this and that. And it's kind of like, whoa, okay, cool, like. Cool. And then he wants to be a rapper. I mean, he's not a very good rapper, and he's not like, a very produced stuff.
Singer either. I'm sorry. I'm like, no. Why do you think you're the king reincarnated again? Explain that one to me, please.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it could be because it's highly speculated. Obviously he had some kind of mental illness. The things that I read was that it was they speculated bipolar with lithotropic. I think I'm saying that wrong. Lithotropic tendencies, which means that you feel like it's very rare where you believe that you're a wolf kind of deal.
Okay.
And then there's some reports that he's schizophrenic, but then I found one report where they talk about both of them together.
Oh, wow.
So that's why I'm like, there's a lot of conflicting shit going on. So we'll never really know. But yeah.
No. Unless he starts talking about it, which doesn't seem likely because from what I've read, he doesn't remember much of what happened.
Right. There's I'm pretty sure our Patreon works right now, but if you guys would like to consider becoming our Patreon supporters, the link is in the description below, as well as our YouTube and our Facebook links. If you guys would like to consider becoming our Patreon supporter, it's only $3 a month, but there is a lot of supplemental links, videos. There's the actual arrest report is in there as well. And we're going to try to do that for every episode where there's like supplemental information that you guys can see for each true crime topic that we do. So you guys can get some more exclusive information from all of the crap that we pulled together from this week that not everybody else is going to get. So and you guys check that out. You guys can see what it actually says on the arrest report. You guys can actually see some links to the Dr. Phil videos for the interviews on there as well. Because he didn't, in his interview, he didn't really, I don't remember, it's a blur. I do remember doing some of these things, but not all of these things. I don't know why I did that. But yeah, so let's get into to a couple weeks prior to the actual date itself.
Okay.
There's so much going on.
There is so much. Okay. What I got first, about 2 weeks prior, like you said, he became friends with a kid named Nick. I can't remember where I put down his last name, but Nick was supposedly a homeless kid that was in and out of his, getting thrown in and out of his mom and dad's house and just not having a good go at life and was down on his luck. And mom and dad thought he was bad influence for their kids, for Austin and his sister hanging around. It was also said that, if I'm not mistaken, Nick is the one that goes that morning with them to do stuff. Like the parents didn't want him around, but the kids kept insisting on hanging out with him and feeling sorry for him. And Austin was telling his mom constantly that he wants to help other people. He wants to be able to help others. And his mom just kept saying, well, you can't help others till you help yourself.
Right.
And that's where some more of the conflicting stuff comes in, because one minute mom's telling him, you got to get yourself right first, but what's he need to get himself right from if he's been, this like model student for the most part and star athlete even in college. So, but apparently Nick and him, I couldn't find any actual documentation of anything that Nick was actually on drugs, but I think the mom kind of hinted at that in one of the interviews that I watched, that she was worried about that because a couple of weeks prior to the actual incident, his parents noticed he was acting weird and told him they don't want him hanging out with Nick anymore, to just stay away from him, and he's not welcomed at the house, at his mom's house anymore, and that if he had anything going on with him, drugs or otherwise, because they were really scared for him. Apparently, he started acting the beginnings of the strangeness with the YouTube videos and making things that his parents weren't really proud of him to be posting on the internet, and they're like, you don't need to be doing that kind of stuff, kind of thing. But it got really bad, and one of them, the mom said that he had mushrooms and some marijuana in his room, but that was the most that, the only drugs she physically saw him have in his possession. So there is some use of recreational drugs there, but it's just, Dad thought he was getting it from Nick, so they wanted to cease that. And once that was all done and over with, come to find out too, Nick's house was only a block away from where a lot of this happened, the actual incident. Yeah. And like they're all in like a little 2-mile radius basically from everything for some reason. It's a lot of the mileage I kept seeing. But yeah. And in that 2 weeks is where he was doing that, sleeping in his mom, moving back and forth and all that kind of stuff too, and even sleeping in his sister's room a few nights. And sister got scared and she started locking her door, so he couldn't come with her. That was one of the things I actually read this morning too. I've been, yeah. I was refreshing before we got started this morning.
Yeah, I know that. I know that feeling. Like the notes sometimes are not enough. You just really want it embedded.
I need a little bit more. I want to give them a little bit more. But yeah, that was the biggest thing that I found like 2 weeks prior. And him and his dad, like you said before, I think Dad just wanted to be the buddy because Mom and Dad were separated. Because it seemed like Dad was always taking him to gun shows or spending money with him or taking him out hiking or, trying to keep him active, which this kid was supposedly active a lot.
Yeah.
Either in the gym or, practices and what have you. But it's crazy.
Yeah. I mean, he was like, like we mentioned earlier, like he was really into the gym. He was really into bodybuilding and stuff. He idolized Arnold Schwarzenegger and wanted to emulate that. But it was weird because then he started making these YouTube videos and telling people, like, don't listen to personal trainers because they're only, they only know their body, not yours. Exactly. But it's like, dude, you're showing people how to bodybuild. Like, you're showing people how to work out.
You're doing the same thing.
Yeah. And then he does another video after that. I want to say, I think it was like 4 days before the incident. He did another video where he's like, you know what? I'm not gonna, and I'm paraphrasing. He's like, I'm not gonna follow Arnold Schwarzenegger anymore. I'm gonna follow myself. He just started getting this grandiose, like, sense of himself. Like he was just, I am all knowing. I'm all right. Like I'm the best kind of deal. Let's see, what did I have? Oh yeah, and then he started telling like his sister and his mom that he was immortal and that he had to die to be immortal and to help other people. And they're just like, what the hell are you talking about, kid? Like, you're freaking, like, stop saying things like that. And that's when he really started getting into the I'm half animal, half human type deal.
His girlfriend, I don't know if you read anything on his girlfriend. She
Very
said
little.
she noticed a change in him, and that he talked like 6 months prior to the actual incident. He was telling her that the devil talked to him.
Mm-hmm.
So that's just some of the strangeness just leading up to all of this. I think he was slowly getting more into whatever mental illness he had. I think it was slowly trying to take effect, and it finally did.
Yeah, and I don't think that he was in a fraternity too, and I don't think he talked about how that's one of the ways or one of the outlets he had to experiment with a lot of these drugs, and he was drinking all the time. And I found some, maybe I should put them on the Patreon too. They had taken computer records, like search records from his computer, and text messages between him and his girlfriend and him and other people. He started telling his girlfriend, like, no, I'm not crazy. I'm evolving intellectually and all these other things. And then he'd sit there and, say, bitch. And then he's like, oh, no, I'm just kidding. It's like, who talks to anybody like that? Like, bitch. Oh, no, I'm just kidding.
When we get into the actual day of the incident, he sent his mom some pretty strange text messages that I took down some notes on after watching her interview, because that's where a lot of my information came from, was that the interviews with his parents, because I figured you would think a mother and father would know their child enough, but like you said, I think he was left to his own devices a lot as well. You're 19 years old, do your own thing, but at the same time, he was wanting to be that little kid again, almost, in a way, with the wanting to sleep near mom or have mom in there with him. So I think he was even scared of what was happening to him. I know they found if his search engine on his computer was what to do if you're going crazy, how to help yourself type things. And it's not verbatim, but just a bunch of things self-diagnosing himself, basically trying to figure out what's going on with him.
Yeah, because it didn't seem like
something was going on.
Yeah, it didn't seem like he had very much support from his mom or dad. Like, I think he'd been really left to himself for a really long time, and that could affect somebody mentally, especially at a really young age. And then getting into the drugs and everything like that, and the alcohol. I mean, I'm not saying that was the cause of it, but that could definitely surface some underlying issues. And this is all just speculation, but because like we've been saying, we won't really know exactly. I know nobody will really for sure know.
No,
but
he's the only one that does know, but he's not talking about it. So
yeah. Well, if what is it, like 2 days before his dad took him to a gun show? Because I know you brought up his dad was taking him to do other things, and did he buy a knife there, or did he buy a knife somewhere else?
He purchased a knife himself while at the gun show with his dad.
Okay.
It was like every time they went to a gun show, Mom said they went to several of them, and this wasn't the first knife he had. He had multiples at her house that were put up for safekeeping. However, he liked to carry a pocket knife on him at all times. And when he got that one, if I'm not mistaken, that's the one they found at the crime scene, is the one they purchased a few days prior at the gun show with Dad.
Yeah. So, since we're to the point of the day of, he kept insisting more and more that he was immortal, that he could manipulate water, that he was half man, half animal. Excuse me, that he needed to die in order to basically be reborn and help others. I mean, I guess that's the best way you can put it, is to be reborn and help others.
Exactly.
And sorry, I had a little bit of a jump in notes because all of this was just so many people had so much different information to give.
Exactly.
I couldn't find one place that just had it consistent. So we're trying our best, guys. But
yes, please bear with us.
Yeah, bear with us with what we can do. So that later that day, he had went to a restaurant with his dad and his girlfriend or wife, whomever she was.
Actually, let's back up a little bit, because that morning, he actually went over to his dad's house and they all went for a hike. His dad, his sister,
That's right.
and I believe it was Nick. I might be wrong, but Dad said there was a friend with them, and I think his girlfriend or the dad's girlfriend. I couldn't decipher on that one, but they had all gone for a hike, and it seemed to be doing him good. Like we said prior, they knew something was going on with him. They wanted him to get help. And Dad was like, you really need to, talk about getting him into counseling with his mother, saying we need to get him in there. But while on this hike, they get to a point in the trail where the dad notices a dead tortoise shell or an empty tortoise shell.
Yes.
And Nick grabs his knife and starts going bonkers, telling everybody to get back, like he was protecting them. That something bad was going to happen right here and right now. This is what it was going to do, or this is where it was going to happen. And he had a bad feeling with these tortoise shells. He just went on and on about them. Dad told him to calm down, stop acting crazy. They continued their hike, and then they decided, let me see, because I think there was something else that they did that day too.
Yeah, they said he ran off like really fast.
Yes, he ran off really fast, and was gone for a while. Like they couldn't find him, and so Dad calls Mom and is like, "Hey, have you seen Nick? He took off on us. We can't find him." She says, "No, I haven't heard or seen from him." And then I don't know if it was prior to the incident or the day of, but they also went on a bike ride today. And Dad said he was very dehydrated looking. So they decided, I think it was after the hike, they decided to go on a bike ride. And Nick couldn't keep up. He was having a hard time keeping up with his dad. This kid's supposedly gung-ho, muscle guy, and he can't even keep up with his 60-year-old dad on a bicycle. Yeah. So Dad said, let's just go to lunch. And they went to Duffy's. And they were sitting there, and what I read, they ordered, he got a tea or a sweet tea of some sort, and he drank a little bit of it. He got up to use the restroom and disappears.
I've got in between information for that one.
Okay, go for it.
Okay,
so see, we gotta get back and forth.
I know there's just so fucking much. Okay, so right after that hike, but before the restaurant, he wanted to take his car, which is at his dad's house.
That's right.
And his dad wouldn't let him take the car. His dad's like, you need to calm down. His dad was trying to give him a Xanax, which is not prescribed to him at all, that's why they tell people don't give other people your medication, because that could have made things worse. He didn't take it. He was refusing to take it. And then he started jumping up and down on his dad's vehicle. He thrashed the entire garage. And then he took off for a little while. He ran into some of his frat brothers, and they were all drinking, and he refused to drink. Then that's when they went to the restaurant. That's when he met up with his dad at the restaurant with his girlfriend. And he did order something to drink. He wouldn't eat. And he kept drinking water, just kept drinking water and drinking water. And his dad was trying to get him to get an alcoholic beverage at that point to maybe calm his nerves.
Mellow him down.
Yeah. So Dad is obviously some kind of an enabler and not a helper. Like, here, take a Xanax, calm down. Here, have an alcoholic drink, though you're 19 years old, calm down. So I guess he started feeling trapped in the restaurant, and he started getting very agitated, very fidgety. Apparently he almost pushed his dad in the face, but then that's when he got up and took off.
Well, also too, that was the second time he tried to hit his dad, because I just saw my note. After he trashed his dad's car, he he asked his dad for the keys, and his dad wouldn't give them to him. And his dad, he threw something at his dad and told him, "I will not be controlled by you."
Yeah.
So like he was like defying everything at that point, and nobody knew why he was acting that way, and they wanted him to get the help. So
yeah. So when he got up and left the restaurant, he walked to his mom's house, which they said was about 30 minutes or so away, and he was
I read that it was
still
2 miles. It was like a 2-mile radius to his mom's house from Duffy's.
okay.
To help with that, if that helps any.
Okay. Well, when he got to his mom's house, he was still like very, very thirsty. And this is when it starts really, really getting bizarre. Like it just escalates. He went into his mom's house very, very thirsty. He went in the cabinet and grabbed a bottle of cooking oil and drank it. And then grabbed a bowl of Parmesan cheese and was scarfing it down. And his dad met him at his mother's house. And his dad, from one of the interviews that I watched from his dad, I guess his dad said that he like kind of snatched him up and was shaking him like, "What the fuck is your problem?" kind of deal. Mm-hmm. And then some, either his mom or either the ex-wife or the current whomever she is to him, girlfriend or wife, kind of was, "Hey, like, what? Calm down." And and that's when his dad just kind of let him go, and he took off again. To go to follow the stars, if you will. And he came. There was people in a truck that was driving, and he stopped them and asked if he could get a ride. And so he hopped in the bed of the truck, and they dropped him off, like I think a block too soon from his own street. And this is when everything starts to kind of go into play.
Kind of wrong. A little bit before that too. After he took off, after he damaged his dad's vehicle, his dad texted him to tell him that, "Hey, you messed up my stuff and we need to talk about this," to something to that effect. And he texted back only one word to his dad, and it was just "learn."
Oh, learn. I didn't know that. I didn't read.
Yeah,
okay.
I just read my notes. I was like, okay, I now know where I got a lot of little tidbits. And then he wasn't doing drugs. He had actually stopped drinking Sunday, which I think was the day prior. And then, and he disappears multiple times throughout that day. And every time they find him, he's only like 2 miles from wherever they last saw him. At one point, he was over at Nick's house, which was very close to the actual incident place, which was also, like you said, a block over from his dad's street. So I don't know if he was just so disoriented from, like you said, drinking cooking oil, like Weston's cooking oil. I read a couple of things. It was Parmesan cheese or mozzarella, and he like mixed it together and just got a few little bits of it.
Yeah.
And then there was other ones that I read that said he was just chugging the Winston's oil, and I couldn't determine which was the truth, but something along that. And but it's crazy how after he gets dropped off by the strangers that you were talking about, apparently that, I guess he was so disoriented that he didn't believe, or he didn't realize where he was. I think he thought he was on his dad's street, possibly. This is all speculation, of course, but I think when he got to the actual, where the crime happened, I kind of think maybe just because he was so out of it, he thought he was at his dad's house and these people were breaking in. I don't know.
What I got from it, okay. Well, what I got from it is when he was on the wrong street, obviously, and he saw who he says was Daniel, and Daniel is who they believe is his imaginary friend. And he said Daniel looked like a black figure with a white face, and scared the shit. Like he was having deep demonic hallucinations. And when he came up on this house that belonged to John Stevens and Michelle Mishkow, he thought that Michelle was a witch, and he pulled his pocket knife out, and and then they were just sitting in their garage drinking a beer, just hanging out for the evening, yeah, just relaxing, minding their own business in their goddamn garage like normal people like to do. And he had rushed them in their garage, and he picked up a machete that was in their garage, and he didn't really super attack her. Like, I guess he hit her in the head, and that caused her to die.
Okay.
And then he had attacked John. I don't really remember, like, if he was, I guess he was, like, stabbing him and beating on him. A neighbor across the street named Jeff had heard screaming and yelling and went outside. And, most people mind their own damn business, but this guy actually, like, yeah, like, he was kind of like a hero in some sense, even though he really couldn't save anybody. He became a victim as well. He approached what was going on in the garage, and he saw that Austin was on top of John, like, eating at him. And and Austin got up and was like, "You don't want this. You don't want any part of this." And then rushed Jeff and I stabbed him in the head, stabbed him in the neck, and stabbed him in the back. And Jeff was just in such there's so much adrenaline going on. He didn't realize exactly what had happened. Like, he didn't realize he was stabbed that many times. So he ran back across the street to his home, where his wife was, and he called 911 and told them, "Hey, there's a kid across the street. He attacked a female." And the 911 operator, and some of the stuff you can look up and listen to the recordings too, if you guys want to dig into that. Maybe I'll try to find those and put those on Patreon as well. But he had, described it. And there's a kid over there. He attacked the lady. They asked if she was conscious. He goes, "No, she doesn't look conscious." And you can hear a woman in the background on Jeff's head saying, "Oh my God, you've been stabbed in the head and the neck and the back." And then he's telling this is what kind of got me a little irritated at the 911 operator, was he's telling the operator, like, and you can tell he's out of breath. There's a lot going on. He's like, "I'm bleeding profusely." And the operator's trying to get off the fucking phone with him. I heard, "You got someone on your way." That kind of made me mad. It's like, normally, like, from a lot of these other true crime, things that I've seen, like, normally the operators stay on the phone with you. If there is, like, immediate danger like that and you are hurting, they want to make sure you stay conscious. Especially if you've been stabbed in different places, they stay on the phone with you. They don't push you off and say, "Okay, someone's coming to help you. Great, thanks. Let us know if anything changes." They literally said, "If anything changes, call us back." I'm like, "Fuck you, doggy. Like, what the hell?"
Yeah, right.
But, yeah. Then it gets into, so the police finally show up to the house. Holy shit. It took 3 officers, a dog, and a taser to subdue him. They said he had superhuman-like strength, which in an interview with his dad said that he was benching 360 in the gym. I can see how he would be really strong, because cops aren't out there fucking benching and shit. Come on now. Yeah. Sorry, were you going to say something?
Yeah, I actually watched, yesterday, I watched one of the, I believe it was one of the arresting officers. I can't remember his name. I didn't write it down, but he, like, walked through, like, the whole thing. Like, when he got to the scene, what he did and whatnot. He said they tried multiple times. He was kicking Austin in the head just to get him off of the victim, because he still at this point didn't know if the victim was alive or dead.
Yeah.
He was just trying to get Austin off of him. He said he kicked him probably about 5 or 6 times, just trying to push him off of him, and he couldn't get him off. So he finally takes his handcuffs, put it on one arm, and kind of drags him off. And then the dog bites Austin, and then they tase him, and, like, it was a horror show. Like, the dog was biting him, and they couldn't get the dog to release him. And then once they got the dog and him away from the victim, like, the cops said it was just blood everywhere.
Yeah.
And that they were stabbed multiple times and beaten profusely, and just, he was sitting there on top of what was the gentleman's name again?
John,
there you go. Yeah, he was on John, like sitting on his chest, like gnawing on his throat and face.
And growling.
And growling. And when officers finally got him off of John and he was off to the side, he kept telling him, please just kill me. Just kill me. I'm eating people. Kill me.
Yeah.
And once they did that, he had something stuck in his tooth. And he spits it out either on the ground or near them. And they asked him, what was that? And he goes, human.
Oh, I didn't get that part. Holy crap.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, human. Pretty much, yeah. He said,
Yeah, I think they broke one of his teeth when they were trying to get him off.
Trying to get him off.
Because he fought the dog off. Like,
he did.
He fought the dog to get away. He was so strong. And that's when they started kicking him in the head and stuff to get him off. But he would just go back to, like, munching on this guy. And what I also read was the guy was alive when he started consuming him in a way. Like, I mean, I don't know if he ingested anything, but I mean, homeboy must have been that hungry because he didn't get nothing at the restaurant. That's all I know.
No, and that was another thing he told his mom is just, I didn't want to wait for the food. I'm hungry and I want to eat. Well, and then by the time Dad called and said, hey, have you seen Austin? Mom goes, yeah, he's right here. She actually takes him back to Duffy's so he can eat.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And then from there is where, when he runs off the second time and gets picked up in the truck. Like you were saying.
Oh, okay. Okay. I thought that was kind of weird because I was like, wouldn't he have been already close enough to his own home to have just walked? But that makes more sense. So, oh my gosh. Yeah. And that's the thing too, is like after the neighbor Jeff had called 911 and everything was still happening. I think maybe around the time the police had already gotten there and was fighting him off, his mom actually called 911 and
multiple times that day.
Oh, wow. Okay. I thought it was just the one time.
No, she called. She said she called. Well, she didn't call both times. I take that back. She called that once after they couldn't find him. They actually went driving around the neighborhood to find him because I guess some of his frat buddies or some of his friends had come over to the house and was saying, hey, we're worried about him. We can't find him. And Mom started driving the neighborhood, and then she saw where the incident had happened. And she actually pulled up to the crime scene and asked if they had seen her son. They didn't know at the time that the two were related for some strange reason, because her son, when he left the restaurant the second time, he actually went back home and changed. He changed his entire outfit. Because like I said, he's been running 4 miles, 6 miles. By the time the end of the day is done, this guy probably ran about 10 miles in a day. Like,
I don't think I ran 10 miles in a year, my lord.
Really? Like, yeah. No. Sign me up for that one. But he went home and changed. So when Mom went looking for him, she didn't quite remember what he was wearing because he had recently changed.
Okay.
And then something I also read was when he did change that second time, he put on a specific jersey. I can't remember the exact jersey. There you go. He put on Michael Vick jersey because that made him feel more invincible.
Okay, Michael, I'm just going to say, we all know what happened with Michael Vick and the dogs. And for him to, maybe he felt like that was like a connective piece or something.
Connection? Maybe that was that dog connection?
Yeah, exactly. Oh my gosh. But yeah, no, his mom called like right after or around the time the incident had happened. And basically it was too late at that time, but she had reported to the 911 operator that her son was acting like schizophrenic in a way. Like she doesn't know what's going on with him, but she says schizophrenic. He's acting bizarre. He's saying he's immortal. He's doing these really random, bizarre things. And then they just kind of let her talk. And then they're just kind of like, okay, great. We'll keep an eye out, basically. But again, like I guess maybe it's Florida. I don't know if you've seen a lot of true crime on Florida. But holy shit, there is something in that fucking water that
water.
those people need filters in that water, because there's a lot that happens in Florida. I don't get it. Maybe because it's too hot. Maybe the humidity is melting people's brains. I don't know.
I don't know either.
Yeah, there is some random ass shit. But when they finally got him, when they finally subdued him, and they got him in cuffs, they ended up taking him to the emergency room, because at some point when he was in that garage, because again, this whole day he's fucking thirsty as shit. He's more thirsty than a fucking single dude on a Friday night looking at fans only page. But
right?
He picked up a bottle of what they assumed was bleach, and he drank the bottle of bleach.
See, what I read was they never could figure out what he drank, but it was something corrosive, because it had damaged his esophagus and his stomach. He was in the hospital for, I think they said 2 weeks after the incident.
Yeah.
Just getting kind of evaluated and finding out what was going on. And
he had organ failure too, off and on. He was in like critical condition. He looked real gaunt when he came out. Real like a little action. He looked really sick. Yeah, he looked really bad when he got out. Yeah. And then what I thought was interesting was that, like, because this happened in August of 2016. In September of 2016, roughly about a month to the day later, fucking Dr. Phil had to fucking get in on it. I'm sorry, Dr. Phil's a fucking douchebag. I'm sorry, because he just tries to socialize so much shit. He is. I do enjoy some of his shows, but it's just, if you really know like how it is, it is. Yeah. It's for entertainment. So of course he got on that shit real quick. But he did an interview with the father, Wade. That link's also on the Patreon as well, where you can watch the full episode. He speaks to Dad. The dad does the interview with him, and then shortly after, he does an interview with Austin from his fucking hospital bed. Like, dude's not even out of the hospital yet, and Dr. Phil's doing an interview with him. And this is where I I do feel bad for the kid at this point, because he starts crying, and he starts, saying, I don't remember certain things. I do remember doing this and that. And Dr. Phil's like, do you feel bad for what you did? Do you feel sorry for that? And he's like crying, and he's like, yes, I wish this would have never happened. I didn't want to do this.
Tears. I didn't see any tears in that interview. That was the only thing that bugged me about the crying aspect of it.
Yeah, that's why I was
kind of feel sorry for him, but I was like, where's your tears?
Yeah, the crocodile
You're
tears.
Really sorry. Where's them crocodiles? At least give me some crocodile tears. You got to make it look good if you're going to do it that way. That's what I thought, at least.
Yeah. The dad was crying. Like, I could see the dad was. Dad was upset, and there were some parts of the interview with Dr. Phil where the dad kind of was doing the shit too, and nothing was coming out. But then there were times you could legit see that his eyes were turning red, and they were getting real laughy, but like he was trying to hold in at the same time. But I don't know if maybe he just had already worked himself up at that point. And maybe he was feeling guilty about the way he handled his son, and the way he, they basically enabled this shit. Just in my thoughts, they enabled him, like trying to give him Xanax, trying to give him alcohol, letting him do whatever the hell he wanted to, basically, because they're just like,
pretty much.
We glad it didn't work out for Mom and I, so let's just like do whatever the fuck we want with you, kind of deal. But yeah, so like right after he did the interview with Dr. Phil, that's when they arrested him and actually put him in jail. And what is it? Like, it's 2021 now, fucking 5 years later.
And he still doesn't have a court date.
No.
Last thing I read was they were going for a second psych eval, because they said he had just a schizophrenic breakdown basically that day. And that's why he did what he did for the most part. I know in a lot of the videos I watched, anything with the police that were investigating, they kept mentioning flocka and bath salts. But again, the toxicology report never showed any evidence of any of that. But the parents thought maybe he had gotten drugged by somebody or something, but they couldn't figure out when or where he would have done it. But like I said, everything is in a 2-mile radius. And if his buddy Nick was the one he was getting everything from, he had access to get the stuff. But I read something that he was actually looking for drugs that day, the incident, but then there's nothing in his system. So it doesn't make sense to me.
That's my God, my boyfriend was trying to say, he's like, maybe that's why he drank the bleach. I was like, yeah. I said, I can honestly see somebody saying, I have drugs in my system. Let me drink this fucking bleach to clean it out real quick.
Let me take a Tide Pod. Let me wash it down with some bleach.
Exactly. Like, I mean, I can see that in some very bizarre situations, but I don't think that was part of this one. I don't think he was trying to really clean his system before he went to fucking jail. You know what I'm saying? Like, God. Oh my God. Like, Mom, my parents are going to be so fucking pissed right now. They're taking drugs. Let me, like, dude, just bleach. Jesus Christ.
But they couldn't even find what the substance was that he had actually consumed in the garage.
Right.
Which, me being a CSI fan, I'm sorry, I am one for the details in that kind of situation. You know, if you're doing a proper investigation, you would bag everything in that garage, take samples of everything, and then compare it to the toxicology report. That would be my way of thinking. And I'm not. Oh, where'd you go? I'm not technically sound like most that are. I guess you could say I'm not educated school-wise for it, but I just think it's bizarre that all of this was able to go on and nobody can actually give a definite, why or how it happened.
Right. Right. I don't know. I dropped out of there real quick. I was like, oh no, no, wait, Des.
I was like, where'd you go?
Just hold on. I don't know. The whole thing just like fucking, it went, boop, and I just came out. Okay. Anyway. It was so weird. And like, in 2019, this is where it's kind of, I don't know. He started becoming really religious while he was in jail, or since he's been in jail. And in 2019, he actually, they found like, he had like 80 phone calls with this one woman, a woman about 10 years his senior, that he started like kind of like a cross relationship with. And then he started like getting kind of paranoid and suspicious of her as well. He said that he found some things out that he didn't like about her, so he broke it off. But he started feeling like she was an informant for the cops and for the prosecutors. So he like broke it off with her. But they started like sharing like Bible verses and trying, you know, she put herself out there like she was a saved, born again Christian. So that's what kind of drew him to her. But yeah, he kept acting weird. Like even in jail, he started acting weird. Like he calls his grandmother and sings Elvis to her, and his mom will be on the phone with him, and she'll sit there and he'll be singing or rambling on, and she'll put the phone down and go, okay, tell me when you're done, and then puts the phone down and like goes off. Like, I'm not really a big fan of his mom. Like, I'm really not big a fan of either one of his parents, but more so his mother than his dad, because his mother just seems to give all piss about it. Like, whatever.
Yeah. Well, and like you said before, she hasn't really been doing many interviews like Dad has. I don't know if Dad's trying to get him help or what his thought process is of doing so many interviews, because again, there's no definite anything in this case other than he had a psychotic break and lost his mind and killed 2, almost 3 people in the process.
Yeah. Well, his dad's trying to get him out. Like, his dad's like, I'm going to get you 2 lawyers and we're going to do this and we're going to get that. They're trying to get him acquitted on insanity, which to me, it's like this guy really needs, like, even to this day, the way he's still acting and all that. I don't know what his help is right now. I know that the mental health system in the United States is not all that great, especially in prison. I worked in a prison for about a year. And even there, it wasn't all that great for people. They just kind of push pills at everybody and sends them out to the yard. So, I mean, really, who knows what kind of help he is getting behind bars at the moment. I don't think it's much, because he keeps doing these weird things, like he's still singing Elvis, still thinking he's Elvis, like he's paranoid about people who are, trying to have actual relationships with him. His dad is just like, we're just trying to get him out on insanity. It's been pushed back. His date is still being pushed back. The last one was, it was in March of 2020, but then they were trying to, like you said, they were trying to get that second opinion kind of deal going on. So they pushed it to May. Well, then COVID was happening. So then they kind of just dropped it all together, and it's just kind of still up in the air. And I read one thing yesterday saying that something was supposed to happen with his trial on the 17th or the 18th of this month, which would have been a day or two ago. But that's all there was. Nothing. I keep trying to search, like, I'm
going to get trying
nothing.
So hard.
Yeah.
And I'm like, man, this sucks. I just want to give it some type of nice little bow to close it all.
Yeah, just some kind of closure to this. And it sucks because I don't know if we'll get that
ever.
Yeah, no. It's really sad. And then the family, I mean, it is tragic all the way around. It's tragic for him. It's tragic for his family. The people who were, the people who had passed because of this, the man who was involved, their family as well. The victim's family are like, this kid is a piece of shit. He needs to die. He needs the death penalty. He needs to never see the light of day ever again, which in some sense, I think it's coming a lot from emotion. I don't think there's any kind of empathy or sympathy towards the fact that he may be severely ill.
Exactly.
And in that case, I mean, you really just need help, and maybe just be in like some kind of like a sanitarium type of deal for the rest of your life. Because there are people who have done horrible things. Maybe we could talk about this at some other time. There was a case in Canada a few years back. Oh no, maybe not even a few years back. I think I was still a teenager when this might have happened. About a man who got on a bus and he was schizophrenic. He was seeing a lot of things, and he attacked people on the bus, and he decapitated one person, and he started eating another, and he was pulling the organs out of the person and eating them. He ended up being severely schizophrenic. And again, this was in Canada. They put him in like a mental hospital. I don't think he ever went to jail. He went to a mental hospital, and they kept him there for not that long. And then they said, oh, he's rehabilitated. He's out free walking around now. They changed his name, and he's out walking around free. Like, that's no scary. Shit. That is fucking so horrifying, because at any time he could stop his treatment on his own and go right back into
it. So or stop taking whatever meds they got him on, because I know with mental illness there's a lot of tendencies where they do get you on a strict regimen, and it does help until you stop taking it.
Yeah, because you get this idea in your head for some weird reason.
It's almost like without.
Yeah, it's almost like the illness kind of seeps back through a little bit, because none of this shit actually helps 100%. You still need ongoing support, not just trying to deal with it on your own with the medication. If something seeps through and it starts saying, I'm fine, everything's great. Like, why do I even need to take this? I'm just fine. Exactly. And then you stop taking it, and then you crash really hard, and you just kind of relapse. Kind of like alcoholics do sometimes. But yeah, oh my God, this whole thing, I'm really interested to see what happens. Maybe if something happens soon, we can do like a little update. Yeah. Little update story on it to see, some kind of closure with this, because this is it's a very sad, tragic, bizarre, horrifying case, because these people, they were just sitting at their own home when somebody just rushed up and attacked them. That could happen to anybody at any time for any reasons. And that's what makes it really scary and I think that's why people are true crime, is because it makes you feel better that you're not a victim. Not that we want this to happen to other people,
but it's scary because, believe it or not, even this day and age, there are so many people that are tied to some form of true crime.
Yeah.
Like I told you before with next week's episode, my husband's father's bandmate's girlfriend became a serial killer.
Yeah.
And, I have family that has ties to the Manson family in some way or form. It's really bizarre. Like, I have a cousin that was babysat by members of the Manson family when she was younger.
Okay. Wow. Yeah. I have one that I've always, for years, even on Girls Born Gin, I've always debated on telling this story, because it involves my last ex-boyfriend. His father was actually a serial rapist and murderer here in California. Oh, wow. So I kind of try to, I don't know, I do want to talk about it, but I don't, because I don't want to talk about him and his father, because it's just disgusting. But at the same time, it is something that happened, and it is something that could happen to someone else.
To anybody.
So Yeah.
That's the big thing that, and goodness, my grandfather and several other members of my family that I know from California are correctional officers.
Mm-hmm.
There was
that's
stories
right.
growing up left and right. I was told my grandfather was in a motorcycle accident. That's how he got his teeth knocked out. Come to find out, Manson is the one that did it. He pulled him through the rails and popped Grandpa's face on the bars. Again, I don't know how true the story is because it came out in different ways because, family doesn't like to talk about stuff like that.
Right.
So, but as I got older, I kind of started hearing more and more stories, and I'm like, it's got to be some truth in it, but I'm not quite 100%.
Yeah.
So, but
I totally
it's crazy how even this day and age, anybody could be connected to some form of true crime.
Oh,
and that's what intrigues me about it. It's finding out the details and actually making myself more knowledgeable. Because like I said before, I have no education or anything like that in actual criminal justice or anything like that. But it's always intrigued me. Always.
Oh, yeah.
And like I told you before we got started this morning, if I played hooky from school, you guarantee I had either SVU going or CSI going. I was all about it. But
oh my gosh. We've got so much to talk about. I'm so glad we're doing this because now we have infinite amount of time to cover all of these things. So, I mean, if you're cool with still doing Saturday mornings, I'm cool with doing Saturday mornings because I love talking about true crime and coffee first thing in the morning. It's a great way to start the day.
Right? Iced coffee.
Even though my coffee's cold. Yeah, my coffee's cold at this point, but I don't care because it's already getting pretty freaking hot.
I got iced coffee this morning. I got my mean beans and poured them over ice and was like, ooh, I'm getting set up.
Mean beans. Is that what you call it? Is that the name of it? Because I like that.
That's the name of it. It's the Monster Mean Bean.
What?
Hang on a second. I actually have to refill my cup. Hang on just a second.
Mean beans. I want to know what some mean beans are. That sounds awesome. I've been drinking me some of that Killer's Choice from Dan Yeager, who play. He was actually Leatherface in Friday or in I see Monster Mean Beans. Yep. I got you that monster. Okay, the energy drink monster. I'm like, is there like a monster brand with like this little like cute little monster on the front? Like, what is the mean bean? I got you. I'm gonna have to go try one of those.
No, I put 2 of them in the fridge yesterday or the day before. And I told Rob, I said, don't you touch those. Those are for Saturday morning. I got to get my behind up. I sent the kid yesterday because I dropped him off at his buddy's house early in the morning yesterday. And I was like, look at you. You're getting me all up and early. I'm usually not out of bed before noon, y'all. I'm not going to lie to you.
And you're like 3 hours ahead of me. So I got up at I think I got up at 5 this morning. This
morning, I was up at about 8:30, 8:40. Okay. And I was like...
So we were up around-ish the same time.
I was like, oh, I don't want to get up, but... Oh, and then I was like, do I get up and put on makeup? Is Joe going to put on makeup? Oh, forget it.
I was the same way, but I was like, I have so many dark spots starting on my face. I'm like,
me too.
Bit. And then I was like, oh, but my eyebrows. And then I was like,
my eyebrows are natural. They're thick,
you have nice
caterpillars.
Eyebrows.
So I was like, I'm just going to put on a little foundation, a little makeup. I'm not going to go crazy with it because there's sometimes I go crazy with it. I don't wear it that often, but when I do, I know what I'm doing sometimes.
Well, you do a fantastic job.
Well,
and that's what I like about putting it on the audio platform is no one's going to see us on the audio platform. It's just going to be all straight voice. So I like to do the live too. I like to do the live just to get it out there. Let people see our faces and what we've got going on and see our expressions. Exactly. And if I've got clips to show, then you can physically see the clips. But I know a lot of people like to listen to the audio. So you guys be a little bit patient. I'm still working out the audio platforms. Hopefully eventually we'll be on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple iTunes or whatever it is. Whatever it's called. I'm going to try to get us on as many audio platforms as I can because I think I've kind of almost maxed us out on the No, actually, I haven't. I could put us on some more platforms, but we'll see what StreamYard lets me do for what I hate. So, but yeah, that's our story, guys. I mean, a wild, 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 gruesome story. I totally forgot to put the trigger disclaimer warning at the bottom, but I put it in there right before we got into the bad stuff, so I think that's okay. Just better safe than sorry, So some people don't know what they're jumping into. Well, now you do. Some really disturbing shit. But yeah, I hope you guys go ahead and give us a follow and a like, share our video, please. The links for our Facebook, our YouTube, and our Patreon, if you guys would like to consider becoming like our first go supporter. It's only $3 a month, and with your subscription, for every topic we do, we're gonna give you guys some supplemental information. Like I said earlier in the show, for Austin here, there's the actual police report from the officer who did the arresting and what had happened. There's interviews with Dr. Phil on there. His YouTube page link is on there. Like, everything is on there, so you guys can go and check out the extra information and really see for yourself what it is that we've been talking about for this past hour, and get your own little thoughts and ideas and understanding somewhat of what's been going on too with this kid, because it's just really, really horrible. Oh my gosh. So yeah. And I hope you guys will start joining us every Saturday morning about the same time, 7:30 California, 10:30. What would it be?
Georgia
Central?
time, Mountain time, whatever.
Mountain time? Is it Mountain time? I have no clue. I don't know. Anyway,
clue.
3 hours away from me. 3 hours away from California. But but thank you guys for joining us so much. Disney and I greatly appreciate it. And we hope that you guys will join us next week. We're going to have another topic coming up. It's going to be Diz's choice over here, one that is a little bit near and dear to her heart. And I'm excited for this one too. I'm excited to dig into this because you sent me a little bit of information on it yesterday. I didn't want to really dig into it because I didn't want to mess up anything in my brain with what was going, like mixed up information, if you will.
I just wanted to give you enough time so you can get in. There is an actual documentary on her too. I can't remember where I saw it. I want to say it was Netflix or something like that.
Oh, okay.
But her name is Dana Sue Gray, just to give our listeners and followers some information for next week's show. But definitely looking forward to getting some more information. I kind of touched base on it earlier today, just saying that, it is kind of a close story for us, considering that my husband, when he was younger, and his father were bandmates with this woman's boyfriend that decided to go on a killing spree. I can't remember if it was shortly before the incident or, afterwards that they realized
who she was, what was going on. Oh my gosh. Well, I'm excited for that one, and I hope you guys will join us for it.
Yes, please.
Until then, don't get in the van unless they show you the candy first, guys. Don't be a fool. I've fallen for that one a couple of times. Not too proud of it. But thank you guys for joining us, and we will see you guys next Saturday for The Devil Made Me Do It. So thank you guys, and we'll see you next weekend. Bye.
Bye.